Memphis, Tennessee is known for its history, but in 2010, unlike murders where the culprit is usually outsiders or distant family, the killers of Lorenzen were actually the people he knew, loved, and even shared 13 years of his life with. It is unbelievable, as well as shocking. While Lorenzen was growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, he was naturally drawn to the game of basketball. His father, Herb, used to be a basketball player before he joined the police force in Tennessee, and the apple didn't fall far from the tree. The older he got, the clearer it became that he had it in him to become a star. In high school, it didn't take long for him to be spotted and subsequently played for Lafayette High School in Mississippi. After high school, he played men's basketball at Memphis State University from 1994 to 1996. In 1996, he was drafted into the NBA, which marked his journey into stardom and prosperity. While in high school, Lorenzen met his wife, Sherra Robinson, the daughter of his coach. The lovebirds dated for a while before tying the knot in 1998. They have 7 children together, but sadly, they lost one of them as an infant. Lorenzen played for 13 remarkable seasons in over 770 NBA games. He made over $50 million as a celebrated basketball player. He bought beautiful houses and fast cars. In all, he lived largely before retiring in 2009 as a result of a thumb injury. In July 2010, Lorenzen was declared missing. After many searches, he was eventually found some days later, but unfortunately he had long been dead. His badly decomposed body was filled with bullets in different parts, so it didn't take the police a long line of deliberation to rule the case as a premeditated murder. Considering the social status of the victim, it was immediately filed as a high-profile murder case, one that would have top detectives and the FBI overseeing. Did they find the killer of the NBA star? How long did it take them? Shortly after the retirement of Lorenzen from professional basketball in 2009, he and his wife Sherra, now ex-wife, started having ongoing fights that later degenerated into separation. Lorenzen was living in Atlanta while Sherra and the kids stayed back in Memphis. Lorenzen, being a doting father who cared for his kids greatly, was always going back to Memphis to visit his children, but according to some family members, the estranged couples remained cozy even though they were seeing other people. On July 18th of 2010, Lorenzen visited Sherra in her apartment in Memphis. It was presumably an attempt to smoothen the rough patch their marriage was going through, but Lorenzen never returned. When his ex-wife, the person he was supposed to meet, was asked, she said that Lorenzen had indeed visited, but left with a lot of money and drugs after receiving a heated phone call. No one knew who the caller had been or where he was headed. 4 days after, which was the 22nd of July 2010, Lorenzen's mother filed a missing person report. She told the police that Lorenzen on the day he went missing was supposed to show up at his sister's baby shower and also attend his friend's wedding where he was best man. The distraught woman made it clear that absenteeism was not one of his son's traits, and that whatever kept his son away for 4 days didn't look like a trivial thing to be ignored. 8 days later, the police finally had something to work with. A 911 dispatcher who must have seen the news came forward that she received a call about a week earlier, but she didn't relay it to her superior for follow-up because all she had heard were gunshots from the other end. It turned out that Lorenzen had put a call through to 911 because he was in some sort of danger. The police were furious at the dispatcher for failure to contact the police sooner. They affirmed that an early report could have helped them in unraveling the missing person case. This oversight from 911 gave the police a clue as to where the panic call came from. After a deliberate search of the area, the decomposing body of Lorenzen was found in a wooded area after 10 days. He had been shot 5 times. They found 2 bullets logged in his head, another 2 hidden in his chest, and a gunshot wound in his forearm. It didn't look like an accident. Somebody must have lured him out there. It was either that or he had met some bad people who killed him. Now, going by his ex-wife's statement that he received a call where he was telling someone about flipping a deal for $110,000 before leaving with some heavy cash and drugs, it was easy to assume that his death could have been a drug deal gone wrong. After his funeral, the police started a full investigation into the case, but sadly, even as high-profile as the case was, it would take another 7 years to solve the murder of the NBA star. The police went back to the crime scene, and after thorough combing, 2 shell casings were found, but that was all they had. After a while, the case started growing cold. Also, Memphis in the early and mid-2000s was named the second most dangerous city in the nation. In 2010, however, which was the year Lorenzen was shot dead, Memphis had become the third most dangerous city to live in the United States, with all sorts of crimes ranging from property theft, rape, and assault to the chief of them all, murder. These facts also added weight to the original assumption that Lorenzo was likely involved with bad guys who entered his life unceremoniously. In 2011, his family and friends promised a $21,000 monetary reward to whoever would come forward with any information that would lead to the arrest of Lorenzen's killer. It appeared that they would give anything to find his killer because Lorenzen during his lifetime was a giver. He gave out cash to family and friends. He bought cars for some people while he helped others settle their mortgages. He was simply too good a person to die without justice. By 2012, 2 years after the vicious crime had been committed in Memphis, it was looking like the murderer would never be found. On the surface, everyone seemed to have left the heartbreaking incident behind, except of course the family whose hearts still longed for closure. Just when the police seemed to have lost hope, something happened. A man who was released because there was no evidence to prosecute him for the murder of his girlfriend in 2009 was subsequently arrested and convicted. He was looking at 20 years in prison, but for immunity, he decided to give up the killers of Lorenzen Wright. It would later come to light that this man, whose name was Jimmy Martins, was hip deep in the murder of Lorenzen, and he was a cousin to Sherra Robinson Wright, the ex-wife of Lorenzen. Just how did a supposed cousin of Sherra Robinson get involved with the murder? Jimmy, in exchange for immunity or a reduced sentence, confessed that Sherra Robinson had come to him with another man called Billy Turner to help assassinate Lorenzen. He revealed that July 2010 was not the first attempt on Lorenzen's life. The duo of Jimmy Martin and Billy Turner had once visited Lorenzen in his Atlanta home to kill him, but they were met with absence. Jimmy revealed that he was not around for the second attempt, but he was again contacted to help find one of the guns that was used in killing Lorenzen. The gun, in a fit of fear, had been dropped in the wooded area where Lorenzen's decomposing body was found. He also confessed that he disposed of the gun in a lake called Walnut, Mississippi, in Mississippi. Before that time, the lake, at the insistence of Jimmy, had been searched but nothing was found. In 2017, however, when the case of Lorenzen was reopened, the lake was searched again, and this time, the murder weapon was found. Now that the means had been established, it remained for the motive to be exposed. Why did Sherra orchestrate her ex-husband's death? Sherra Robinson Wright, at the time this detail came to light, was also being tried for another case. The plaintiff was Herb Wright, the father of Lorenzen. He had dragged Sherra to court because she had spent the money that was supposed to go into his grandchildren's education. Lorenzen, before his death, had put in place an insurance policy, which was to the tune of $1 million. It was set aside to fund the education of 6 children in case he lost everything, since money was no longer coming in for him as a professional basketball player. Unfortunately, the greedy ex-wife, upon the death of Lorenzen, had withdrawn it and spent it on a new car, apartment decorations, furniture, and trips. Then questions started rising. Could Sherra have killed her ex-husband because of money and material possession? Also, Sherra wrote and published a book titled Mr. Tell Me Anything in 2014. It was a work of fiction, but the people who read it said the book portrayed the life of Lorenzen and Sherra Wright. The woman gave a snippet of her married life as one that was filled with domestic violence, cheating, and money troubles. But this only increased people's curiosity. In December 2017, Billy Turner, the man who had allegedly pulled the trigger and ended Lorenzen's life, was arrested and indicted for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. Billy had reportedly been romantically involved with Sherra, but that was not even the most surprising part. What was terribly shocking was that Billy was the deacon of a church where Sherra had also once been a minister. Both of them on the 18th of July 2010 had lured Lorenzen to the wooded area where they rained a hail of bullets on him. Billy Turner, who was charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder of Lorenzen Wright, was sentenced to life imprisonment, while Sherra was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment for facilitation of first-degree murder. She is expected to be incarcerated until 2049. At the moment, she is being held at the Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center in Nashville. The family and friends of Lorenzen, who had always been suspicious of Sherra's statement, was furious that Sherra only got 30 years for facilitating a murder. There have also been talks that Sherra could get out sooner on parole if she puts on her best behavior, but the mother of Lorenzen, Deborah Marion, has vowed that she would ensure that Sherra serves her full sentence as long as she has air in her lungs.